Well, good evening, Element. How you guys doing? Dude, hey, last week, how many of y'all liked last week? Man, last week was such an awesome week. Every week is awesome, but last week was particularly awesome because what happened last week is about 10 of you guys in this room, maybe you're here, maybe you're not here, 10 of you guys accepted Christ for the very first time. Yeah, give it up for him. Man, that is awesome. That is why we do church, so that you can grow closer to Jesus, man. So when someone grows closer to God, chooses to stop resisting God, then, man, I love that. That's why we do this, is for life change. And because of that, I'm going to give all of you free candy. Y'all want some free candy? Here, guys, start passing out their free candy. It's awesome. I got my M&M's Fun Pack. It's so fun. Look at it. It's so little and cute. How come when something is smaller, it's cuter? I don't understand that. That's just a weird thing as y'all are passing that out. Hey, for those of you who did accept Christ, if you did accept Jesus, then y'all need to know the next step. Or maybe you have accepted Christ before. Maybe you said, maybe I'm a Christ follower, but you've never been baptized. And baptism is really a physical sign of what God did spiritually in you. And so we want to give you guys an opportunity the week after camp. Remember, we did Encounter where all the campuses came together, the McKinney and the West Campus. We all came together. We did a big worship night, and it was awesome. We're going to do that again the week after camp. And then at that night, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to be baptized. So if that's something you want to do, just a heads up. It's on the screen right now, just to keep in the back of your mind. We'll have sign-ups. We'll tell you guys more about it as the date gets closer, but that'll be July 9th. Everybody get candy? Everybody get candy? Are y'all eating it? Y'all eating your candy? I already have my candy. Don't throw it at me. That's awesome. Hey, as you're getting it, is anyone, I'm a little weird with these things. If it's like M&Ms or if it's Skittles or even gummy bears, like I want to know what color gummy bear I'm eating. So if I'm in a movie, I'll get the gummy bear and I'll like hold it up to see. And if it's the clear one, no one eats those. I'll put those back and I'll get up another one. Or if it's like these M&Ms, right? Which one? I usually I keep the yellow for last because it's my favorite, right? Because it's my favorite color. I'll take blue. Some of y'all eating the blue ones? Who's eating the blue ones first? A few people. Who never eats this color? Most of the time I give it away. You know that thing where like if you have Starburst and someone's like, hey, can I get some Starburst? You look at your Starburst and you're like, here's the orange one. Right? No one likes that. We're super chopped. I chopped one. We're super selective. Right, we are naturally people because why do we give people the things we don't want? We want ourselves to have the best, right? Or if you're like gonna have a birthday party or people over to your house or your neighborhood pool and you want a ton of people to be there, what do? You grab your phone and you search through, right? You're gonna do this big group text, but what happens? Like you skip over a ton of people, right? You're looking through here. And you're saying, okay, what do we got here? What? Okay, Summer Wright. I'm not inviting her, but okay, I'll invite Alyssa Whitmore. Esteban, I'll invite Esteban. Esteban can come. Nah, not Bree Weatherly. No, I'm not gonna. Not Carlos. No. Ooh, Cody Cobb. I'll invite Cody Cobb. Okay, yeah. I'll invite Cody Cobb. Let's see. David Belt. I'll invite David Belt. I'm not gonna invite Devin Gwines. I don't even know Devin Gwines. I had one conversation with him. I'm not gonna invite him. Right? We're selective. You go through and you say, I'm gonna pick the certain people that I want to be there because I want them to be there and I don't want other people to be there, right? That's who I want to be there, and Zach Alston. I'll invite Zach Alston as well. He texted me. We're very selective people. And whether you look at it that way or not, that is a form of prejudice. And which is crazy because like we don't look at not inviting someone as racism. That's not necessarily what we look at when we're inviting someone to a pool party or we're giving them a Skittle or a, first off, Reese's. Don't ask me for my Reese's, okay? I will not give you this Reese's. I'm very prejudiced about keeping my Reese's, okay? Confession. I have actually been giving my Reese's to my roommate or whoever else I'm eating with because I'm trying to learn. It's very tough because I want to keep them so bad, but I've been trying to learn to not try to hold on to things, to give that away to people. Because what I've discovered is Jesus did that exact thing. Jesus was a weird anomaly. If Jesus threw a party, everyone was invited. Whether they were hated, whether they were liked, whether they hated Jesus, Jesus invited everyone to the party. Jesus included every single person to be a part of it. Jesus was this huge, huge includer. No matter what was happening, no matter where it was happening, and it didn't even matter about the time of the time in history that Jesus was at, because during Jesus' time, people were incredibly racist. Incredibly racist. And the way, when we think of racist, we think of different, African Americans hating white people hating African Americans. But it was even to a whole nother level during Jesus' time. Because they were so we are the Israelites. Inside of the Israelites, they had different tribes, right? And their tribes even had cities that only their tribes lived in. And people from other tribes, there were times that they hated those other tribes or were very prejudiced against those other tribes. Or if there was someone who was a half Jew and a half whatever else, they called them a Samaritan, and they were incredibly hated. People hated people. People judged people. During that time, there was a socio-economical class where if you were rich, you were better. If you were rich, you were nicer, you were whatever. If you were poor, you were less. They looked at you like your value was literally less. And a lot of the time, that value has snuck through history. It's not a good thing. My mouth is so dry from these M&Ms. And I have water. I don't know if you guys have water. Huh? Whew, man, my mouth is so dry. But we're all prejudiced people. And if you don't think you're not prejudiced, I'll prove it to you right now. If Miley Cyrus walked in and sat in here, what would you think? Like, oh, why are you coming in my youth group, Miley? Trying to bring the devil up in here, Miley? Right, we think that way, but this is what's crazy. This is what's crazy. Is that Jesus, went to eat lunch, eat dinner, eat meals with people who were hated like a Miley Cyrus or like a ... like a Donald Sterling. Jesus was the man who ate with them. And when they ate meals, it was different than we eat meals because we think of meals as about an hour and then we're out of there, right? We got to sit down for about an hour and we're gone. What they did with meals is they would arrive. First of all, they didn't have any watches because there's no electricity. Well, there was, they just didn't know it. So they would come at whatever time, and the dinner started when they got there. And they didn't start eating, but they started preparing it when they got there. And so it would be an entire evening. Dinners would be like 4 to 6 hours of sitting down and talking. They didn't have a TV, right? The Cowboys weren't on, so they would sit down and they would literally just talk about things. Think about the person in your school that you absolutely dislike, you hate because they hate you, they did whatever to you. And think about spending an entire evening with them. Think about spending 6 hours with them. Right? Some of you are like, I ain't gonna, no way, no, you don't know what she did to me, right? So we know that Jesus, a lot of us know, we've grown up in church, we've been here for a while, so we know that there was this group of people who hated Jesus above most, right? They were called the Pharisees. There you go. They were called the Pharisees. And so one time Jesus decided that he was going to spend an evening with a Pharisee. A Pharisee invited him over for dinner, which was abnormal because they disliked him. So what was more than likely happening is they were trying to trap Jesus. They were trying to get him to mess up on his words and give him something that they could throw him in prison or do whatever with. They could maybe even kill him that night. Jesus, we didn't know. Anything could have happened to him. But he went and ate lunch with a man who hated him, which is crazy for me to even think. If you have a Bible or if you're taking notes, and you should take notes, there's pens right in front of you. There's different things you can take notes on. Take notes on your arm. That'd be great. And then Instagram those notes for people who missed tonight. We're going to be in Luke 7, and 36 through 50. Yeah, through 50. 36 through 50. That's where we're going to be, Luke 7. And so the first thing that we need to see that Jesus did that is different from what we would have done is that Jesus hung out with the haters. Jesus hung out with the haters. Jesus spent evenings and spent a lot of time with people who hated him. At the beginning of Luke 7, or where we find ourselves in Luke 7, verse 36, it says, one of the Pharisees asked Jesus to have dinner with him. So Jesus went to his home and sat down and ate, or sat down to eat. That's crazy to me. I would, honestly, it'd be tough for me to go spend an evening with a person who hated me. Much less, we don't know if Jesus actually, liked him, right? Did Jesus like this man? He more than liked him. Jesus loved this man so much that he gave him an opportunity to be included in the story. Even though Jesus knew that he was probably going to try to trap him, probably going to try to mess with him, probably try and not even listen to what he said, but want to trick him into saying something. And yet Jesus went and decided that I'm going to include this man in the story of the gospel, that thousands of years later, people are going to read about a Pharisee that invited me to dinner. That's just incredible. Just, not prejudice. What's the opposite word of prejudice? I'm blanking right now. Non-prejudice. Okay, we're going to say that. That's incredible love for people. That's love that I personally, as a pastor, struggle with. Because when you see someone, you automatically classify that person, right? If you find out that someone goes to an alternative school in Frisco, what do you think? You think immediately that they're a bad kid. And you don't know what they did. You don't know what happened to them. You don't know any part of their story, but we think we have a prejudice as soon as we see someone. We let many, many things get in front of us. Like if someone is non-athletic and we're athletic and they're non-athletic, then we think, we're us and we're awesome and they're not even close to us, so we're better. Right? That's what we think. We have this prejudice against that. Or maybe you play a instrument, you're musically talented, you're awesome, and you see someone like myself who is musically dumb. And you look at me and you classify me. How dare you classify? I'm just kidding. But we immediately classify people, don't we? We say, well, that person's good at music or that person's bad at music, and not like we let their talent or we let who they are define what we think of them, whether we're better than them or not. We think I'm better than you because of ... I'm better than you because my family has more money. I'm better than you because I got a car sooner. I'm better than you because my skin color is ... And it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. One, because there's so many different people, and different people are awesome. They're awesome. My girlfriend's half black. What up? I love it. The very first thing that I said to her, our first conversation, let me tell you, I walked up to her, smooth, and I said, excuse me, are you half black? And she said, yes. I said, that is the coolest. I've always wanted to be half black. That is so cool. And she said, oh, cool. And that was our first conversation. Seriously, half black people are awesome. Y'all look the coolest. Seriously, man. And it's funny, because I grew up around black people. I think it was about 5th grade that I realized I wasn't black. I just kind of noticed there's just something different that I didn't notice before. But something that has never been a blockade in my life, and I chuck all of this up to Christ. Something that has never blocked me from thinking of a person as a person, right? Because we are all people. We're not this person because of this. We are all individuals. We are all people. And if we let a small thing like race differentiate how we think of someone, or even how attractive we think that an individual is, right? It's a scary thing, but people look at people and judge people on if they're attractive, if they have this muscle, if they can run this fast, if they can play a song, and we think that they are good or bad defined by what we think of them, and that is prejudice. Jesus wasn't prejudiced. Jesus hung out with the people who hated him. Jesus had dinner with them. He had an entire evening with them. And while he was there, something happened. In Luke 7, verse 37, it says this. When a certain immoral woman from that city heard he was eating there, she brought a beautiful alabaster jar filled with expensive perfume. Then she knelt behind him at his feet, weeping. That kind of, I don't know about you, this doesn't happen often with me, that a girl just comes in the room, starts crying and kneeling at my feet with perfume. So it might have felt probably a little bit awkward in the room. When she came in, people might have people would look at this woman who's not put together. I imagine she had the ugly cry where she was crying like this and uncontrollable, right? There's no pretty cry, first of all. There's no pretty way to cry. There's not even a manly way to cry. I wish there was. That'd be awesome. But so she was weeping at his feet, going on to say her tears fell on his feet, and she wiped them off with her hair. She kept kissing his feet and putting perfume on them. When the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would know what kind of woman is touching him. She is a sinner. And we look at that and we think, how dare that Pharisee? She is a sinner, but man, she is coming to Christ, and she was weeping, making a situation. She didn't care about making a situation awkward. She just cared about getting closer to Jesus because she knew there was something there that she didn't have. And she was doing whatever she could to get there. She was crying. She was pouring perfume. She was making a scene. When this perfume, they didn't have big rooms like this. So an alabaster jar was worth about a year's wages for her. And she broke that and poured it on his feet. And in this silence, in this act of someone coming to Christ in true forgiveness and true repentance, this Pharisee looked at her and says, how dare her do that? She's a sinner. And he says, Jesus, how dare her come to Jesus, come in my house, embarrass me? And we look at the Pharisee and we're like, yeah, dude, you're a jerk. But how many times do we let what other people do around us define what we think of them? We immediately think when someone does us wrong, we immediately hate them. We immediately dislike them. We immediately devalue who they are. Jesus never devalued who someone is. Jesus never did that. For one, because he knew that that person was his creation. That Jesus created a person, and he loves everybody. Doesn't matter how tall or how short or how talented or how whatever, or if you're good at ... It doesn't matter to Christ because God loves you no matter what. And this girl was making a scene, trying to come in here, trying to say, man, please forgive me. She didn't even say anything. She was just weeping, pouring this perfume on her. Say, how dare this Pharisee accuse her of being, not just accuse her of being a sinner, but say that she shouldn't be in their presence because she was a sinner. And when I read that passage, I get so mad. I'm like, that Pharisee was so wrong. I want you to watch this video.
Aidez-moi. 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 Aidez-moi.
Monsieur, est-ce que vous m'entendez? Ça va? Essayez de me parler. Essayez de me parler, monsieur.
There's a difference between the man who was homeless and was sick on the ground and was saying, help me, and then the man who was put together and fell down. He didn't even have to say anything. In an instant, people ran to him. People almost hit him with a Segway to get to that man, right? And we see that and we say, how could they do that? How dare them do that? How many people do you walk by in a hallway at your school and never even acknowledge them? Because Jesus didn't just acknowledge people. Jesus accepted people, but a lot of the times, us as human beings, we don't even have the courage, have the ability, have the intention to acknowledge someone, to acknowledge when someone is hurt, to acknowledge when someone is crying out for help, saying, help me, laying on the ground. And that's probably not normally a thing that you see in your hallway, someone laying on the ground saying, help me. But it's something that I can guarantee that you see every single day in your hallway is someone that is staring at their shoes, holding their books like this, and walking through the hallway, not saying a single word to a single person because they think no one can see them. Guys, you could make an incredible difference by letting Jesus change the way that you see people, not valuing them or not devaluing them for if they're good at this or if they look like this, but instead seeing them as God's creation, saying, I'm going to do whatever I can do to help as many people as I can. The story goes on from Luke. So she was weeping. She was pouring perfume on his feet, and the Pharisee said, don't you know she's a sinner? If this man was a prophet, he would know that. Then in verse 40, he says, then Jesus answered his thoughts, which would kind of freak me out if I thought something and someone answered them. I'm going to try that. Let me think. None of y'all answered. Okay. Then Jesus answered his thoughts. Simon, he said to the Pharisee, I have something to say to you. So the Pharisee said, go ahead, teacher. Simon replied. Then Jesus told him a story. A man loaned money to two people, 500 pieces of silver to one, 500 pieces of silver to the other, but neither of them could repay him. So he kindly forgave them, both canceling their debts. Who do you suppose loved him more after that? Simon answered, I suppose the one whom he canceled the larger debt. That's right, Jesus said. Then he turned to the woman and said to Simon, look at this woman kneeling here. When I entered your home, you didn't offer me water to wash the dust from my feet, but she has washed them with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You didn't greet me with a kiss, but from the time I first came in, she has not stopped kissing my feet. You neglected the courtesy of olive oil to anoint my head, but she has anointed my feet with rare perfume, as also translated expensive perfume. I tell you, her sins, and they are many. Jesus acknowledged that there were problems with her, but he still didn't let that devalue anything, because he said, I tell you, her sins, and they are many, have been forgiven. So she has shown me much love, but a person who is forgiven little shows only little love. Then Jesus said to the woman, your sins are forgiven. The men at the table said among themselves, who is this man that goes around forgiving sins? Jesus hung out with the haters, the people who hated him, and Jesus hung out with the hated. Jesus hung out with the people who other people hated and isolated. Zacchaeus, we've all heard the story of Zacchaeus was a wee little man, right? You probably heard that song growing up, maybe not. And then, so he climbed the tree, and Jesus spent an entire evening with a man who an entire city hated. An entire city. Jesus didn't care who you were, what you did, how much money or how little money you had. Christ included everyone into the story. Christ wanted everyone to be a part of it. Jesus hung out with the haters. Jesus hung out with the hated. And it's such a hard concept for us to really adopt, right? It really is a hard thing to do. If this was an easy thing to do, more people would do it. More people would do it. But us as Christians, us that say we have the answer to life, we are close to Christ, and Christ is all of who we are, and I have Jesus, and you're looking for someone, and a lot of you are the only Jesus that people in your school will see. Because a lot of your friends won't even come to church. A lot of your friends won't come to church. On a side note, you should invite them to church. We have a party. We're throwing a party next week. You all got these. Did everybody get some of these? Everybody get some invite cards. If you didn't, we have some more in the back. I think, do we have any more of these in the back? We do have more in the back. Afterwards, grab more of these. Because Jesus was an includer. Jesus wanted everyone to come to the party. Invite the person you hate. And not in this way. Don't walk up to them and say, hey, so I'm supposed to include you and stuff. Come to this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be sincere. Be genuine. Be genuine. Because if we hate what God has created, then that means that there's a part of us that still hates God. If we hate what God has created, then there's a part of us that still hates God. Because at some point in our life, if you're a Christian, you decided to stop refusing God's grace, right? You decided to stop refusing who God really made you to be, and God restored you to the loving state that you should have been in. And we're not perfect people because we live in an imperfect world, and so we're going to experience some of that. But through everything, we might not have safety, things might not be perfect, but we have a peace, right? We know that things will work out, even if things happen to me. Things will work out in the long run. And a lot of your friends need to know this. Need to know this. There was a time, on another side note, there was a time that Christ was angry. There was a time that Jesus was mad in the Bible. And Jesus, it's weird to think that Jesus was angry because we think that all anger is sin. Not all anger is sin. 99.9 of our anger is sin, right? Because we don't come from a pure heart. But the only time that Jesus was publicly angry was when someone mistreated the church. And so really quickly, there are some times that some of you, I'm not talking to everyone, there's a small window of people that I'm talking to. There's some times that your parents drop you off here, and they think that you're going to be here, and they want you here because they want you to grow closer to Jesus. And you come here, and then when no one's looking, or when people are looking, you run away, right? And you try to go to Kroger, you try to go to wherever, you go to a park, you try to go in the back of someone's yard back here. Let me tell you, I want all of you here. I want every single person here. Honestly, I want every one of these seats to be filled with people that you love and people that you hate, because I want everyone to be at the party. I want everyone here. Dear God, give me all of Centennial High School. Every single one of them. Come to Element. Come on, man. Every single one of them. And Liberty and Heritage and Frisco and Wakeland and everybody. And Prosper and all of the Plano schools and Carrollton. I don't care. I want everyone to be a part of this party because I know the answer to life, and I want everyone to be included. I want everyone to be here. I want all of your friends, all of the people that you hate to know Jesus. If someone knows Jesus, you probably wouldn't hate him as long anyways. Come on. Be an includer. Bring people to God. Bring people to church. And even if they won't come, then you better be the example to Christ in your schools. If you're not, then don't call yourself a Christian, okay? You can still come here and not call yourself a Christian. That's totally fine. But if you're not the example to your friends, then don't call yourself a Christian. Be an includer. Come here. Be a part of it. When you come, be a part of this. Don't exclude anyone. Because you have to ask yourself the question, what makes me so much better that I deserve God so much more? We are all sinners. The Bible says that not one lifestyle of sin is better than the other. We are all sinners. We all have things that are wrong with us. And we all, a lot of us, some of us are not, but a lot of us who love God, man, we're trying. We're trying our hardest. And perfection can never be attained, but it can be pursued. Be an includer. Be Jesus to your friends. Bring your friends here. And when you bring them, take them to the Visitor Connect Center. Have them fill out a card so we can give them a VIP bracelet and say, you're awesome. You are the best. You are a VIP tonight. We give them some free candy and some other free stuff, and we give them a pizza. You like that pizza today? He loved that pizza today, boy. If you come and bring a friend, give them the experience. If they don't know, and I'm going to give you guys a pass, okay? I will give you this pass. If you bring friends that don't go to church anywhere and worship is weird for them, this is what's going on here, people raising their hand, this is weird. During worship, the first week that they come, I will allow you to sit in the lobby. Not everyone, I know, like our leaders know faces, okay? So don't just try to sit in the lobby every single week. If you bring a friend and it's their first time and they don't know what God is all about and they don't know what worship is, you can sit in the lobby. That's totally fine. I'm completely fine with that because they don't know what worship is and it can seem weird to them. But during the sermon, come back in here so that they can know Jesus, okay? And again, I'm not saying every single week all of you can sit in the lobby during worship. Don't do that. Do not do that, okay? So Jesus hung out with the hated. Jesus hung out with the haters. Excuse me. And this is my favorite way. This is one of my favorite stories because the way the story ends is just incredible. This is an incredible way to end an incredible story. So where we left off is in verse 49 when the man says, the Pharisees among the table said, "Who is this man that he goes around forgiving sins?" They said, "How dare him include her? How dare him show her respect and give her value? How dare him do that?" And it ends with this in verse 50. Jesus said to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." Go in peace. There's so many people that don't have peace. There's some of you in this room who don't have peace in your life. Don't degrade people. Hang out with the haters. Hang out with the hated. It's going to be a lot harder to hang out with the haters, I can tell you right now. One of the hardest commands that God ever gave us is to love your enemy. That's so hard. I can't imagine loving Hitler. That's just hard to me. But that's what God is saying. Jesus is saying to that level, to love people unconditionally. One of the coolest phrases that I've ever seen in a company is from Hard Rock Cafe. Have you ever heard of Hard Rock Cafe? I've never been. That's awesome, David. I've never even been to a Hard Rock Cafe. I don't know. I didn't even think they still existed. But they had one of the coolest taglines. And this is probably going to be, when I saw this, one of the other pastors on staff, Josh Wright, showed me that this was like their motto, their mantra. This is the thing that a company that serves food, this is their motto. And it's this: love all, serve all. I love that. Love all, serve all. Adopt that to your life. Love every single person. The people who hate you and the people who you hate. Love everyone. Include them as much as you can. People are going to reject you. People are going to tell you no. You're going to invite people and they're going to throw the card back in your face. Love them anyways. Love them anyways. I've told you a story about me and my dad and how our relationship went from broken to now I love my dad. I saw him yesterday. I drove 25 minutes just to help him put a couch in his house because he's just a little guy. And you know. No, I'm kidding. Love everyone. When you love people, that changes people. Love all, serve all. There's a prayer that they're going to put on the screen here in a second. And instead of bowing our heads and praying this, I want us to pray this together. You don't have to say this out loud. I'll read it. But man, this is a prayer. Again, Josh showed me this, and I thought this was just such a perfect prayer. If you want this prayer, take a picture of it, screenshot it, Instagram it, and pray it, whatever. Keep it on your phone. Write this prayer down. Y'all can go ahead and put it on the screen so that they can take some time if they want to write it down. We're going to pray this together. And honestly, I'm going to pray this over and over and over for a lot of days. For probably a few months, I'm going to pray this prayer as much as I can. Because I want to love people unconditionally. I want to love people like Jesus loved people. I want to include people just like Jesus included people. Jesus hung out with the haters, and he hung out with the hated. It didn't matter who you were, what you looked like, what you did. Jesus tried to include everyone in their story. So pray this with me. Again, you don't have to pray out loud. I'll read it. Just pray it. Think about it in your head. God, help me to love everyone like you love them. Help my heart to be free from racism, prejudice, and hate. Help me to see people the way you see them, including myself. Let me always remember my own brokenness and your great grace. Help me love all and serve all, just like Jesus. In your name, amen. God, help us. Help us to get rid of prejudice inside of our minds. Help us to not see people for what we think they're worth, or see people or see the value in people for the way that they're dressed or what they're good at or whatever it is. God, I pray that you would continually help us to see people like you see them. Help us to see the value in everyone, God, because every single person is your creation. Help us to see that. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Man, you guys are awesome. We're about to jump into huddle groups, which is a small group time to break up the whatever 100 and so odd people that are here. Don't go there yet. Don't move. We have a couple announcements before we do that. Hey, again, we're going to make this announcement again later. But if you want to intern this summer, then you need to find Johanna later tonight. She has a few more applications if you want to intern. You don't have to be called a full-time missionary or to be a full-time missionary or to be a pastor. Man, this is intended just to help you out. Hey, wait, listen up. Shh. There we go. Again, invite your friends. Invite the people. Everyone. Man, I challenge one of you to invite 50 people. Invite 50 people. Man, let's fill this entire section. Let's have people have to scoot together because we don't have any seats for them, man. Let's fill this place up. Let's get people to know Christ. I had one more thing, and I completely forgot what that was. So, we're going to jump. Oh, this is what it is. This is really cool. Remember, Taking Ground for this semester? We love Taking Ground. We believe Christ has given us the city. So what we've done is we've been writing thank you notes. We've written thank you notes to Centennial and Frisco. And what we're doing today, is we are writing thank you notes. There you go. We're writing thank you. We're writing thank you notes to the Liberty Principles. And then next week, we're going to write a bunch more thank you notes. We're going to write, or not next week, because next week the party, but the week after that, the entire huddle group time pretty much is going to be dedicated to writing thank you notes to other principals in all the schools that we possibly have here. So we're going to do our best to write a thank you note to as many people as we possibly can. Because a lot of times, man, teachers are hated, right? Teachers, especially principals, because most of the time when you see your principal, you're in trouble. So we're going to practice what we preach. You're going to set aside your hate. And you're going to say, thank you so much for what you do. All right, so here, stand up with me. We're going to jump into huddle groups. Guys, go to guys. Girls, go to girls. The places are on the screen right now. Go ahead, find your place. I don't know what those are.
The sign up for summer kickoff? Because